Hi everyone. So today's video is going to be on the division that we're seeing on this planet. It's going to be on the two earth split that we have heard talk about so many years. It's going to be on the heart center and the awakening. And it's not going to be a very long video, even though these are topics that we could discuss for hours and hours. But it's going to be a short video sharing a perspective that I think is very valuable. So this question was asked as I was in a trance channel on an event in Houston, whether the division that we're experiencing will cease to exist in 2024 or whether we will be experiencing this oneness that we are moving towards. And first and foremost, what I said, and I will mention that just quickly, is that every time we're asking about what's coming or what's going to happen, it's very often coming from a place of fear within. So check yourself every time you're asking this kind of a question, because very often we try to get control of something. We feel like that's that false sense of security and control if we can prepare for something and we kind of know what's coming. But the only safety and the only sort of control you have is to be in the present moment. From the present moment you will experience everything and you will know what's happening. So that being said, what they were focusing on was that this will happen when the human are making different conscious choices, mainly on how to relate to emotions and how to relate to thoughts. So the split that we are hearing about, even though there's many different interpretations of what that is, they said that the split is actually created by the mind. And they said it would be very beneficial if the split and the division that we are very often making between the unawakened and the awakened can be looked at, because that is also created very much from the so-called awakened community as much as from the other. It's creating the division, and it's a lot of ego also in the spiritual community, lots of ego, and any judgment or idea that this is better and this is worse and this is right, very often it comes from a projection of the self judgment that we have. But it's also often coming from a fear, like if people are not understanding this, then all these bad things will happen, kind of fear. And that only creates more of that division. So what I said is that connecting through the heart, coming back into the heart. So this is the still point, this is our center point, and the heart is multidimensional. The heart is not an emotion. Okay, the heart is a field. We have the physical heart that is beating, that is keeping this physical body alive. And we have the heart field, which is a very powerful electromagnetic field, and it is multidimensional. The presence in the heart and coming back into the heart, that is a still point that we can rely on no matter what happens. So they related this to the messages about 2024 being the year of the waters. And if you haven't watched that video I made on that, I will put the link to that video in the description box below. One of the points of that is that the water element, the emotions are going to run high the coming time. And why is this happening? From a bigger picture, it's helping us to come back into the heart, because we will need to practice again and again and again to come back to our hearts and to come back to the present moment, and not, to remind ourselves and to practice, to learn, really to experience that we are not our emotions and we are not our thoughts. The more we are sort of forced to handle it and to relate to it, we will come deeper into our hearts, we will become more present. And this is what is really the awakening. It is not about being a good girl or a good boy, having an open heart, kind of, programmed open heart, just being kind and polite. It is about actually deeply having an open heart, and through that we can connect through everything. So what I said was, if you imagine like a tsunami, like huge wave, there's this massive wave of emotion moving over you. Then what is very easy that we often do is that we get caught by that wave. We believe that we are that emotion. We believe all the thoughts that are like discussing or judging or interpreting the emotion on that wave, or all the emotions in that wave. And we tend to just go with it, and we end up in confusion and despair and hopelessness. And then we have to sort of find our way back. But what we need to practice is to stand in our heart. So every time there's an emotional wave coming, what's important is how you relate to it. The choice you make about how you relate to your emotions, how you relate to your thoughts every single time, that is what is creating the change on this planet. That is what is creating the change from a split, divided earth, not into an earth where everything is the same, but into a beautiful mosaic, where all different perspectives, where all different colors are really in harmony, because the harmony comes from within. The harmony comes from your heart. So when you can stand in an emotional wave and you can be present in your heart, knowing that I am not these emotions that are just moving through me right now. Even though there's many emotions, it's intense, it's a lot, I might probably not like it very much. It's challenging, it's difficult, all of that, yes. But can you be here? Can you come into your heart? Can you remind yourself that you are not that emotion, those emotions? Neither are you your thoughts about those emotions. The judgments, anything, you're not any of that. You are that awareness, observing everything. And once we remember that, we will not be projecting and running off and being in chaos the same way as we have. That is what is changing. It is our conscious choice to relate differently to our emotions and to our thoughts. From that point in our hearts, we can connect to another human, even though there's a huge wave moving. So imagine there's this massive wave moving through me of emotions, but as I'm here in my heart and I'm centered the best way I can connect. Even though the wave is moving that way, I can connect to a human besides me. I can connect to a plant, I can connect to a tree, and I can connect to an animal. I can connect to anything if I'm here. But if I'm being taken by the emotion and I'm in confusion and I'm in all this anger, or I'm in, and I believe I am all of this, all the hopelessness, all the chaos, all that, then I won't be able even to connect in the same way. It's about allowing what's coming and accepting it, and making the choice again and again of how you're actually meeting it and relating to it. So see, for example, when you're meeting an animal has an open heart. It's present. That is where we are going. That's what we're learning. But because we have the mind that is creating all these stories and narratives and everything, we tend to believe that we are all of this, and we get confused. It's about choosing whether to live in division or not, between who understands and who doesn't understand something, about who's from this continent and who's from that continent, whether this is your talent or this is your talent, about whether you have these things and you don't have these things. It doesn't matter. What matters is the heart. And so if you want to do something in your everyday life that will help towards an experience of oneness on this planet, start with a self-judgment. Self-love is an open heart. True self-love really is an open heart. Just see when you are if you're super stressed, you haven't slept much, you have had a couple of arguments, you're like not feeling well, and then something, you know, you're going about your life and there's just something happening during your day, and the way you react might be very different than if you are just, you know, you just fell in love and you're well rested, you're not stressed, you're just, the world is amazing. And the same thing would occur during your day. You would probably react very differently. You wouldn't judge it so much. You wouldn't project so much. When we come back to our hearts, when we are in that present moment and we start moving towards self-love, we will not project so much out either. We won't hurt others so much. We won't judge so much. When we are judging ourselves, we are also judging others. So start with yourself, move towards self-love, and see when you're judging yourself. And start coming back to your heart every time you're judging yourself, because what's judging you is your mind, it's your ideas. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything right. Self-love does not judge. Self-love takes accountability, takes responsibility for the actions, but without judging, because there's an acceptance, there's a holding that is very safe. And with self-love, well, self-love becomes aware because it's not afraid of self-awareness. Because if you are not judging yourself, you aren't afraid of becoming aware of whatever within yourself either. Self-love does not judge. So if you can, every time you're judging yourself, you're criticizing yourself, can come back to your heart, make that a practice. Breathe into your heart. Accept, allow, and then move deeper into that self-love. Stop the criticizing thoughts and choose the awareness, the self-loving awareness. Then we can take accountability, we can take responsibility, and we can show up as ourselves, and we can connect with other humans. Then we will remember more of who we are, which is not our emotions and not our thoughts. And we will create this beautiful mosaic rather than the division or the split that is only created by the mind. Whether that is between cultures, between awakened and unawakened, between someone who understands something or not, it doesn't matter. It's all about coming into the heart, because from here the expansion happens. From here we understand more also with our minds, because the more we try to understand something from the mind is only like a record player of the past. The new is coming through the opening of the heart, and it's rather than an action of opening my heart, I have to do this thing to open my heart. That, to me, that doesn't make much sense. But if you choose to be present and breathe into your heart, in the experiences you have in your life, and meet yourself there and meet other people there, we will experience a gradually more opened heart. And this is what will change everything. I hope this is helpful for you. Please pass the video along if it helped you. And I really appreciate anyone commenting and subscribing and liking, because that supports my work a lot. So thank you. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.